Welcome to Compass and Clock. I'm your host, Mary Copeland. This infotainment podcast explores how to live your best life now and well into retirement. We'll discuss topics in financial planning, housing, and insurance. We'll talk wellness, relationships, and leisure activities. A full life requires planning for your goals and preparing for the unexpected. I'll introduce you to a variety of entertaining guests, from knowledgeable experts to folks sharing stories of their life experiences and so much more, because life is big. All is intended to help guide you in planning for what you need now and at any age. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Today, my guest is Maria Metzler. Maria has been the executive director of Helpline House on Bainbridge Island since 2017. She has been working in the nonprofit field for 18 years in the realms of homelessness, housing, and food insecurity. Maria, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have interviewed you before when we did the road ahead in the recording studio, and today is our first podcast. So why don't we just jump right in, and we're going to talk about Helpline House, what it is, how it serves the community, and so much more. So my first question for you is going to be this: what does Helpline House offer?
Fantastic question, of course. Helpline House offers so many services. I think what we are most known for is operating as the food bank on Bainbridge Island. Folks can come once a week, some do, and we can talk a bit more in depth about that a little later. But we also offer more. We're more than just a food bank, and so we have another side of things, our social service side. And we have case managers and we have mental health counselors. And we can offer things like financial assistance for a variety of things: housing, rent, utilities, and then, smaller things as well. And we offer free mental health counseling. Nothing at Helpline House costs any money. Everything is free of charge. And everyone defines their own level of need. There's no income level. If you could be helped by the services that Helpline provides, we are so happy for you to come and avail yourselves of the services. We also have some other projects, smaller projects like Project Happy Birthday and Project Backpack and things like that happen throughout the year. So we really just try to see a need and fill it in our community.
And you have that awesome saying, which is, you're not a hand out, you're a hand up, which I just think really encompasses the heart of Helpline House. Helpline House also isn't just an organization on Bainbridge Island. Aren't there similar organizations like this throughout the country or around the world?
Right. So our geographic area is on Bainbridge Island. That's where we're located. But just for a small example, we're a part of the Kitsap County Food Bank Coalition with all the different food banks in Kitsap County. And all you have to do wherever you're located is to Google food bank or social services or the type of assistance that you're looking for, and you could find a similar type organization wherever it is that you live.
Great, good information. So today is March 1st, 2021. Did your organization have to make any changes due to the COVID pandemic?
Boy, did we. Helpline House was a very communal spot, and that was how we liked it, and we hope to get back there. Our shopping model for our food bank was in person. It was a market model. You chose the items that would best fit you and your families, your households. And we very quickly realized that we could not have that model. We couldn't have people gather for the safety of our clients, for the safety of our volunteers and our staff. And so we pivoted to a curbside model. And now everything is delivered on site at Helpline, our food bank, but you drive up and you don't have to even get out of your vehicle. And so we put as much as we can out on the curb for choices and options. And we have our wonderful staff and volunteers who ask you if you want eggs or butter and what type of milk, and then run in and get it. And we have some pre-packed bags with fresh foods and some pantry staples as well. And we put it right in your vehicle for you. So we found that that is the safest for all involved and a way to still be able to access food during the pandemic.
And you also do kids bags too, correct?
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, we have our kids pantry program, which is additional food, kid-friendly food, nutritious food, and that is for typically when school is out. So spring break, summer break, to help supplement when kids aren't able to get the meals that are offered through the school district. But we have been doing it for going on a year since schools let out a year ago. So that is a weekly offering. And if you have any kids in your household, we ask you how many kids pantry bags, up one per child. And if you'd like all of, you have 3 kids and you want all 3, then we're so happy for you to have those. So that is something that's a choice every single time a household with kids drives up to the curbside distribution.
It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. And the community around here really embraces you, because I know that the Sakai Intermediary School on Bainbridge, which is 5th and 6th grade, they just did a food drive for Helpline House, and they collected and sorted and delivered over 5 tons of food.
Isn't that awesome? Oh, we love the Sakai food drive. It's such a great food drive. And it's just one of many in this community. And the people who do the food drives, and Sakai in particular, they take it so seriously, and they sincerely ask the shoppers at our local grocery stores to consider purchasing a little extra as you're purchasing for your family, and to purchase a little extra that'll go to Helpline House. And it's just wonderful.
I have many happy memories. My children attended Ordway, and every year there would be an Ordway food drive, and I would be a chaperone, and we'd walk down Madison Avenue and deliver the food. And the kids, it's so great to have them involved.
Yeah.
So I know, aside from the food bank, with your other services, how are you handling those right now during the pandemic?
Right. So the other side of that was also very communal, as I talked about with the food bank. Folks came on site to have their mental health appointments and to talk to our case managers to discuss what was going on and what their situation was. And so what we've had to do is we now have all of our social work appointments remotely, meaning we call you. So you call us and make an appointment, and then one of our staff calls you to discuss what the request is, what the need is, what's going on. And then we get creative about how we meet these needs. And there is some documentation we need, and sometimes we take a picture of it with the phone and we try and email it, or sometimes you could just drop it off on the doorstep and we can copy and send where it needs to go. We've gotten really good at figuring out workarounds. And some of our mental health appointments are telehealth now. So if folks have the capacity, then they can do, we signed up for a special service where we can have a compliant video call for mental health appointments that some people have really taken advantage of. So, we have, along with everyone else around us, have really figured out how best we can continue to serve in this pandemic.
Everybody gets resourceful.
Yes.
And it's great to see what comes out of that. So all these wonderful services that you provide, how does someone in the community access your services? How are they eligible? How does that work?
So we don't have any particular eligibility requirements except residency on Bainbridge Island. And even then, if you have a strong tie to Bainbridge Island, if you work here and it's easier for you to access services here than it is in your local assistant, your local agency, then we can work with you on that. So really, like I said earlier, if you feel like you are in a position in which Helpline could benefit you, then we can. So for the food bank side of things, you simply have to drive up. Like I said, it's curbside. So you drive up, we'll ask you a few questions. There's no income requirement, but we do ask questions about who is in your household and what your current income is. You won't not be served for any income that you offer. And then again, we'll ask you what your food preferences are so we can make sure to get the food that you're best going to be able to eat. And then for our social side of things, you make a phone call to our intake coordinator, and she schedules you with either a therapist or with a case manager. And then what you have to do is be available at that time for one of our staff to give you a call back. And like I said prior, from there, we're all flexible and creative, and we figure out the next steps.
Great. So, how do you operate there at Helpline House? Do you have employees? Is it volunteer based? How do you get all of this done?
We have a mixture of both. Prior to the pandemic, we had a very large volunteer base, which we relied on so heavily, and we just have the most amazing volunteers. And when it was quickly evident that we should not all be gathered and we should not have many people in the same space, what we did was we increased our staff on site to have some consistency. And then we still do have a handful of intrepid volunteers who who stand outside primarily for long stretches of time, just so they can serve the Bainbridge Island community and make sure that folks get the food they need. But on the whole, we really love our volunteers, and are so looking forward to when we can welcome them back. They do a lot of what needs to be done around here in terms of sorting and serving and just everything.
I know you're right now working on hopefully a new plan, because we're hoping, people are getting vaccinated and that we're all social distancing and wearing masks, etc. Because I got my email just before our podcast today asking if I would be wanting to come back as a volunteer for the food bank.
Yes.
So I'll make sure I reply to that.
Wonderful.
So where does your funding come from? Do you write grants? Do you get donations? How does that all work?
Yes. The answer is yes to that. We do write for grants. We get some city funding, City of Bainbridge Island funding. We write for grants. We have some federal pass-through money through the county. And then, foundations and specific grant allocations we write for. But largely, it comes from this amazing community. So largely our funding comes from donations of our neighbors, our friends and our neighbors, who want their friends and neighbors, their community, to be able to have their basic needs met. And that is the reason that they give so generously to Helpline House, and we are able to offer all of the services that we do. This community is just incredible.
I know that your donations aren't all just monetary, that the local grocers around here, you do pickups at Safeway, you do pickups at TNC, our Town and Country. I believe you do things with Costco even. So donations are also from local businesses.
That's right. Businesses and, like we said, food drives. So in-kind donations really help a lot around here. So the Sakai food drive will last us for a while, and then another food drive will come in, and we'll be able to sort that food and get it out directly to folks who are going to access it. So all sorts of ways.
Well, I know I have on my calendar April 30th, which I believe is a Friday. Yes, it is. I'm looking at my calendar. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Compass and Clock will be doing a food drive for Helpline House.
Yay.
In the Safeway parking lot. We'll have it set up social distance. We did this last June. Huge success. So we will do it again this year and restock the shelves.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I heard you have an internship program. How does that work?
Yeah, we really love interns here. It's such a great place because interns can learn basics of social work and basics of counseling, and at the same time, they can increase the amount of people that we are able to serve and work with. And so it's really a benefit to folks' education as well as Helpline House and thus our community. And so people can send an email to our email address. We'll give that information out at the end. And we have two different types of interns. We have BSW level interns, so bachelor's level, that do things like case management. And then we have master's level interns that do our counseling, our mental health therapy. And so we are able to provide the structure and the supervision needed, and then they are able to provide services for our community and our clients, and it really works well.
And are internship programs volunteer, or do they get school credit, or do they get paid?
Yeah, so largely they are through a college or a university, and it's a requirement for graduation. And so the ones that we have here are not paid. They are earning their college credit and advancement towards their degree and towards their graduation.
And I would assume people have to apply for this, and you go through the applicants and then select which ones best fit based on the openings you have.
Correct. Yes, and sometimes the requirements are a little different than what we can accommodate, and we try our best to make it work because again, we really like interns, but they don't all. Not every single inquiry turns out to be a successful internship.
Well, your internship program gives back to others, which is what Helpline House is all about, helping others. So you're helping in another way through your
Yes.
internship program. So I've got a question for you. What's the most frequently asked question that you get at Helpline House?
Well, I would say the most frequently asked question we get is, how can I help? Which isn't that a beautiful thing? That is a question we hear all the time. And the answer is in a number of different ways. We've talked about a few of them already so far. One of them is when we're able to have volunteers back on site, a way you can help is to volunteer. We have volunteers who are weekly volunteers. We have volunteers who come in groups with businesses and organizations. And then we have, one-time volunteers who have a gift to give and a skill to offer, and we're able to make that work to the service of Helpline and the community. Another way folks can help is by participating in those food drives that we've talked about. So as you are shopping for your family, your household, you could think, what are things that you like and you eat at home? And then probably your neighbors and your community would like those same things, and you could purchase one or two extra. And if we do not have a particular food drive going on, we have bins both at our local Safeway and our local town and country store, and you can drop food in there. And like those volunteers I mentioned, we have volunteers that go every single day to pick up that food and bring it back to Helpline, and it just goes right back out to the community. And then certainly you can help by giving donations. That can be done. You can mail them in with a check. You can do it online on our Ways to Help page. So all of those are in service of meeting the needs of our community.
And I would add that if anybody is dropping anything in the Safeway or Town and Country collection bin, do not drop non-perishables in there.
Right.
Think canned goods, think box goods. Also, there is a huge program on Bainbridge called the Red Envelope. The
one call for all.
One call for all, and you get your red envelope in October. So if there are any local listeners that receive that red envelope next fall 2021, consider adding Helpline House to your choice of nonprofits that you're donating to.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it for us today. I think what would be most helpful now is if we tell folks your phone number very slowly, then your website very slowly. And if you did want to provide the email, or if that's already on your website, it's not necessary to. But why don't we do that?
So we would really love to hear from you with questions or with offers to volunteer or with anything else that you would like to share. Our phone number is area code 206-842-7621. That's 206-842-7621.
And then your website?
Yeah, and then our website is www.helplinehouse.org.
And that's Helpline, HELPLINEHOUSE.org.
And all of the information, you can find other contact information there and our general email to reach out and more about our programs and services. So that'll be your best first stop to find out more information.
Helpline House is an amazing resource and organization on Bainbridge Island. And for those folks that live in the community, if you need them, just call, email, knock on the door. And for those listeners that are outside of the community, I strongly encourage you, if you have a need like this organization provides, to Google it in your local area, because there are organizations like this throughout the country. So thank you so much, Maria, for being part of the Compass Clock Info-Tainment Podcast.
Thank you, Mary, for having me. I love talking about Helpline House. You're right, it is such a great organization. So thank you for letting me share a bit about it.
Yep. Thank you for all you do. I'm going to sign off right now with our listeners. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week.